thanks everyone for joining. This is the Cold to Gold Email Challenge webinar for the launch of our Cold Email Challenge coming up here. So I've got a lot of value that I'm going to add into this webinar itself, and then I'll walk everyone through the challenge here coming up. All right, so let's get going. So it used to be that you could blindly send cold emails and get replies. You could send mass LinkedIn connection requests without restrictions and make cold calls to landlines profitably, right? But obviously a lot of things have changed over the years, and they'll always change, and we'll always have to adapt. All right, so in particular for email, there's a lot of monumental changes happening right now in the market, with a lot of emails getting blocked, spam rates increasing, inboxes getting banned, all right, domain reputations getting destroyed literally overnight. And warming products are even starting to have issues with access to like Google APIs. All right, so a lot of changes, and a lot of these things are happening real time. So a lot of things to focus on, and a lot of challenges to solve, but that's fine. That's what we're here for. What cold email professionals, whether you're a pro or a novice, I've never done it before. These are things we can fix. But what cold email pros don't do is write impersonal, half-baked email sales copy, send it to their prospects, get the cheapest lead list they can possibly find, send as many emails as possible using their precious company domain, their current core domain, and using tools that aren't meant for the job. So these are just a few things. There's obviously a lot of different things, but these are some real high-level things that I constantly see people doing incorrectly. All right, so my promise on this webinar is that you're going to get information that I've sold for $5,000 plus in the past. All right, you'll never have to worry about the email gods and deliverability. Obviously, there's always going to be a component to it. So how do we mitigate it as much as possible? And cold email strategy that can help you book as many meetings as you want, as long as you can scale it, of course, right? So that's what I'm here to show everyone. All right, just in case you're wondering about any of the content, if you've been on my webinars before or any training before in the past, I try to add as much value as I possibly can. All right, so here's someone who had never even learned cold email before, just watched some of my YouTube videos, implemented, and actually started getting results, and kind of joked about, it appears like I might know what I'm talking about. So that was obviously very nice. And then our last webinar, most valuable content I've ever seen, and then a bunch of stuff from LinkedIn. So I put out a lot of content, of course, and everyone who reads my content hopefully know I'm trying to add as much value as I possibly can, of course, right? Tried this strategy. Thanks for the advice. Subscribe to the channel. Enough of the bragging. We'll get through what the agenda is here for today. So what I want to teach you is how to learn how to please the email gods, never have deliverability issues, and land in the primary inbox 99% of the time, and not the spam folder. How to generate 2, 5, or even 10x high quality sales meetings by sending less cold emails. All right, that's the key, and we're going to get into that, particularly with copywriting in today's webinar. And then secrets you must know in order to not just survive, but dominate the market with outbound in 2023 and beyond. So obviously all those things are changing, so we want to set ourselves up for success moving into the new year. So who's this for? Really founders, owners, VPs of sales, biz dev managers, sales teams, whether you're doing outbound or even nurturing inbound leads, right? This is going to help for a lot of people. And maybe you're not hitting sales goals. You've got a broken sales process, but you're motivated. Obviously, you're on the call. You're watching this webinar. You want to learn better strategies, and you just like getting better every day. All right. So, quick background about me. Most of you, if you've been on a call before, you probably know me to some degree. If you don't know me, I'm the founder and CEO at Upticks. I've got a wife and 2 daughters. They're a little bit older now. This is my 3rd B2B company, and I'm a big Minnesota Vikings fan. So, and then here's a couple little images of my 2 girls, a little more grown up more recently. So that's a little bit about me. In terms of my professional background, my first company was part of a franchise organization called Sculpture Hospitality. I grew that into a top 10 franchise in 4 years. I was ranked number 1, number 2 in business growth year over year, won the Trailblazer Award, and again, top 20 franchise within 4 years. That led me to starting an outbound sales agency called Lead Engine. Built that to 7 figures in about 14 months, most of that over about a 5-month time frame. We booked appointments using cold calling, cold email, LinkedIn sales, outbound for other companies. And that's ultimately how Upticks is born. And so if you're not aware, Upticks is a software, of course, where a sales enablement, sales automation CRM, and particularly known for a lot of the nerdy stuff we have for cold outreach. All right, so let's get into the content. Enough about that. The first section here, I want to teach you guys the science around email deliverability, essentially, and how to please the email gods and never have deliverability problems and always land in the primary inbox. So if you're doing cold email, if you've never done it, no matter what stage you're at in the life cycle, email deliverability is the number one reason people fail with cold email. There's nothing more important than email. And to put it bluntly, if you fuck this up, you're going to be destined to fail with cold email. All right. If you don't get this one thing right, it doesn't matter how good your lead lists are, doesn't matter how big your lead lists are, it doesn't matter how good your copy. If you can't land in the inbox and get your emails read, it's literally impossible. And even me, with all the strategies I implement, yeah, you're going to land in spam at some point, right? So how do we mitigate that? So here's the biggest keys. So if you've watched some of my webinars in the past, there's going to be a little bit of refresher. But threat level 1, you've got to make sure your DNS records are set up properly. I don't have time to go through every little nook and cranny of these, but your MX, DKM, SPF, DMARC records, you have to have all those set up. That's a prerequisite before anything. After that, once that's all set up, you want to build a multi-domain, multi-inbox sales strategy. And again, if you've seen some of my content, you know I preach this all the time. But just to put it into a quick little image, right now if you're sending from one domain, you want to have multiple domains and spread your sending traffic across multiple domains and then multiple inboxes. All right, this is going to reduce your chance of landing in spam 9x. And if you have a problem with a domain or an inbox, you can simply swap it out. And now your entire campaign isn't affected. All right. So that's multi-inbox domain strategy. Just to give you a quick example, if you got all your domains here, what you're going to do is add an inbox for each one. All right, pretty simple stuff. All right. The problem though is that these new domains and inbox have no sending history, so we need to build a sending reputation, which I'm going to talk about later. But the biggest thing here, of course, Google's making some changes, Gmail's making some changes, right? So it's there's some time sensitivity here to doing things the way that we've sort of done them recently, and being able to kind of hack the system a little bit. All right. But you have to build a sending reputation. You can't use and send these emails too soon with new domains. All right, we'll talk more about that later. Threat level 2, sending protection. I like to bucket these into sending protection. So for your emails, when you're sending, the biggest thing you need to make sure is that you throttle your volume by inbox. Now, there's different concepts out there. People say 50 inboxes per 50 emails per inbox per day, 100 emails per inbox per day. It really just depends on. I like to err on the side of caution. 50 per inbox per day once they're all warm and all that kind of stuff is a good rule of thumb. You always need to make sure you implement email validation into your lead list. I'm going to talk more about this in a little bit. And then bounce detection. So we're all getting leads from similar lead lists, and every lead database on the planet has a different level of quality. Some have better data, some have not as good data. It really just depends on the prospects and what they're focused on. So even if you're implementing these, you need to have a bounce detection system to make sure you're not burning your domains. All right. This might sound a little bit foreign. I'll talk a little bit more about this later. All right. And then a big mistake that I see people make is with their content of their emails. So there's a few different things, and this seems like a lot. It's not really that hard. The big thing is content rotation. Again, I'm going to talk about this a little bit later, so hang tight. I'm going to show you some examples. But please don't put links, don't put images, at least in email number 1. Don't do formatting, don't put spam words, don't put files, and even your custom tracking domains are super important, which I'll talk about more as well. So there's a little bit of a refresher if you've been on any of my content in the past. All right, here's what an email should look like when you send a cold email. Plain Jane, just text. There's no links, there's nothing. Okay, it's just plain text. No HTML, just clean. All right, we'll get into a little bit more of that later too. So I want to shift to the art. So if you haven't, or if you have been on the webinars as I keep preaching here, like this is totally new, I haven't really talked about this publicly, but I want to let you guys in on how we write copy based on personas to help turn leads into opportunities. So I'm going to walk you through the thought process of everything, okay? So the first thing, you're probably used to write or building lead lists, right? So a lot of times you're building lead lists or writing copy on firmographic data, job titles, location, company size, industry, niche, if they're funded or not. And you all know that there's a big difference between prospecting a founder at an early stage SaaS company in the sales enablement niche who's bootstrapped, right? Versus a VP of sales with 10,000 employees at the company, consulting industry, in the environmental niche who's funded. Okay, so when we write our copy, we've got to write things differently. So how do we do this? Here's how we do it. So we'll take the SaaS persona, for instance. The first thing you want to map out before you write or launch any campaigns or anything, you want to go through a brain exercise and a research exercise to get into what the deepest desires are for that SaaS persona, the problems and frustrations that they have, the implications of those problems, what can happen if they experience those problems or when they experience those problems, right? And then even their failures. So to put this into concept or perspective, I'm not going to read through all of this, but I'd simply do research and I'd type out every single one of these points: desires, problems, implications, failures. Okay? And we'd try to get into the mindset, know exactly what are these people going through. Then what we want to do is we want to take all of that copy that we wrote from all of our research and put it in and just find common words, common phrases, and look to see what are some of the buzzwords, the recurring words that keep happening. And then we want to take those words and we want to put them into our copy. All right, not all of them. You're just, even if you just use a couple words here and there, it's going to help us with our copy. All right. Same thing with like a VP of sales persona. But the big difference is, and I'm not going to read all of this, the input here is all different, right? And then the output from, what the common themes are, the common words are going to be different. There's going to be some shared words for sure, right? But ultimately what we want to do is we want to put that into our copy. But the big mistake that I see people make with their copy is they're too general, they're too broad. So I want to take you through a copywriting exercise here. Let's just say, and I'm just going to use like upticks for example, right? Let's just say I want to reach out to somebody about increasing their sales. Upticks, our software, some of our services, training, coaching, that kind of stuff can help people increase their sales. So it would be really easy for me to just talk about increasing sales, right? And this is what normally most people do. It's just surface level, and I'm going to reach out to people and talk about increasing their sales. But what you're doing is you're sounding like everyone else who's lazy and won't go the next level with their sales copy. All right, and think of this main topic like a country. Okay, it's real broad, real general, right? What we want to do is we want to go deeper. So we want to identify a subtopic. Okay, so in our example, our little niche within sales, we focus more on the outbound side. All right, so I'd get into outbound, and think of this as like a state. So now we're getting a little bit more specific. And there's a smaller percentage of people that actually go this level of specificity with their copy. Okay? But most people won't. They're too lazy. All right? If you want to get really good results, we got to keep going. All right? So now within outbound sales, we want to pick a niche. There's a lot of different things in outbound sales. And think of your business. Think of the things, the way you approach people. All right? But we want to pick a niche. So within outbound sales, there's a lot of different types of outbound sales: calling, social, email, so on and so forth. So let's pick cold email. We're on a call about cold email, a webinar, right? But even that's not specific enough because people know cold email, right? And what we're doing is we're narrowing down the prospects who really are experiencing a problem that you can help them solve. All right, so within cold email, we focus on email deliverability. That's sort of our micro niche. Think of that as a street. So now we've gone from country to state, city to street. Now, the one thing you're probably thinking in your head is like, well, that's great. Well, it's not going to appeal to everybody. Well, you send 100 emails, you're not going to appeal to everybody anyway. You might think so, but what you really want to appeal to are the 10%, 15%, 20% of people that might experience this problem. We'd rather get a 100% reply rate with 10% of the leads or 15% of the leads than a 2% reply rate with 100% of the leads. Make sense? All right, so that's the copywriting exercise we go through. So now let me go take you through an actual example. This is an actual email that we use for outbound, and it converts really well. I'll show you the math. First of all, you'll notice the subject line. We do a problem-based subject line, and this should mean something to your prospect. So let's say we're approaching VPs of sales. Reply problem, or maybe it's a director of sales, right? Or a team lead, something to that nature, right? It should kind of mean something to them. And we make this really basic. It doesn't need to be crazy. You don't need to put personalizations in your subject line. It just needs to mean something to them, all right? Then when we open up our email, and this is fully automated, by the way, all right? We're not really doing any personalizations right now. You want to open your email with some sort of desire. Every line of this email builds on each other, on one line on top of another, because everything you do with cold email is about micro commitments. First of all, you just want to get them to reply. So you got to, to open the email. In order to do that, you got to land in the inbox. So we got to do all those other things right first, right? Then we want to get them to open the email. Then we want them to consider reading it with this first line. So we always use a desire. We've already tackled the problem. So in this example, curious if your sales campaigns are bringing at least 11% replies for upticks. All right, we know that people aren't getting that kind of result with email. We know we can get it for a lot of people, right? So we want to appeal to a desire. And I know that these emails, it doesn't sound perfect, right? So like I didn't say I was curious, right? Like the grammar isn't 100% right. It's intentional. The next section here is we want to identify one domino, which is that micro niche that we're focusing on that needs to fall over in order to achieve this desired result to solve this problem. Okay? So asking because hitting these numbers depend on a crucial factor, email deliverability. That simple. And then we move into, this is like an educate / like sort of bombard with a little bit of a brain dump of what it takes in order to achieve and knock over this domino, right? So in this case, which consists of custom tracking, warm up, human-like sending, inbox rotation, spin tags, email validation, DNS settings, bounce protection, so on and so forth. All right, it's a long line, but we want people to recognize some of these terms, but we want, in some regards, we want them to go, oh shit, I don't know what that is, or what is that? Maybe these people could help me, right? And then the last line, which is our call to action, is a realistic achievement-based call to action. Notice I'm not selling. I'm not saying, hey, Upticks, is a sales software that does this, that, and the other thing, and here's our customers and all that kind of stuff. I'm not saying you can't put in social proof, but like I'm not really selling anything, right? We're focusing on the problem, the desires they want to achieve, what it's going to take to achieve them, show them the things that go into that work in order to knock the domino over, and then a simple call to action. All right, and we've tested call to actions till we're blue in the face. The biggest thing that makes an impact on your results is this first line. All right, though the call to action, people obsess over it. It's not as important, honestly. It's really not. Then of course we got our signature. We don't want links, images, formatting, that kind of stuff. And then we got our opt out. All right. Now, I told you I'd show you our actual results. These are some of our more recent campaigns. So we get pretty darn good deliverability and pretty good reply rates. Fully automated emails, 8 to 12% reply rates, pretty consistently. Now you got to do that. There's several things we got to do in order to achieve this, right? Now, a lot of it at this point, aside from the copy and the deliverability, becomes about the technology. So what I'm going to focus on next here is the secret sauce for winning cold email game while doing less work. As I talked about, this is an automated strategy that we implement. So you can focus on things like closing deals, right? That's what we all want to focus on, not the outbound type stuff. The biggest thing that I see people do is use the wrong tools for the job, right? Time and time again, I see people using the wrong tools for the job, or they try to be cheap and piecemeal all these different systems together, buy all these different lifetime deals, and ultimately, it's not battle tested. All right. So what we don't want to do is, we don't want to have our coworkers taking a skill saw and, sawing up our back and, doing all that kind of damage, or pumping a big tire with a hand pump. All right. So here's what not to use. And this is not a knock on these softwares. These are all great softwares, but do not use marketing software. MailChimp, SendGrid, Go High Level, ActiveCampaign, Sendinblue. These are not sales cold email softwares, okay? They're really good at what they do. They don't do cold email really well. Second are traditional CRM softwares. Again, great companies, right? But sending cold emails from Salesforce or HubSpot or even Pipedrive or Close, and I've used every one of these systems before, dating back to my agency, even before my agency, I've used every single one of them. Okay, they're just not really set up for really good cold email. And even your traditional sales enablement software, Outreach, SalesLoft, Apollo. Apollo's a little better, but Outreach and SalesLoft, like, they're not meant for really good cold email. So what does it take within the technology that you need to do really good cold email? All right. And again, I've tried them all. So the first thing, and we talked about it, is distributing your send volume across multiple inboxes and multiple domains. So what this is going to do is it's going to increase your deliverability by automatically spreading the volume across those domains. So any cold outreach software, cold email software specifically, is going to have a feature where you can send your volume across multiple inboxes automatically within your sequences and your campaigns. All right, that's rule number one. That's aside from setting up your DNS settings and all that kind of stuff, landing in the inbox and warming up those domains and inboxes, is the number one thing that you can do is control that volume. All right. In order to do that and implement all these inboxes, domains, you need to warm them up. Now, there's some challenges in the warm-up space right now. Things will adapt. Things, the world's not going to end. Tools and like our warm-up product, it's we'll all just adapt. But this is a prerequisite for taking those domains and inboxes and warming them up. And what it does essentially, if you're not familiar, I think a lot of you probably are, some of you probably are, that I'm seeing on the webinar here, is it sends emails automatically for you and establishes your sending reputation by removing emails if they land in spam and replying to them automatically. So this is a peer-to-peer network. There's many warm-up tools out there. Of course, Uptix has one as well. But essentially, it sends your emails to the network. If it lands in spam, it pulls it out and replies. Those are the biggest features you need. I see a lot of people nerding out about like all these little micro features about warm-up. The biggest thing is it sends emails. If it lands in spam, it saves them and removes them, and it replies. But most other softwares have these optional features and stuff as well, where you can pick different settings for warm-up. All right. The next big piece after all of that is to have a human-like sending algorithm within your email software. So some of those systems that I talked about earlier, like especially marketing software, they blast and send emails essentially all at the same time. So when you're flooding email client provider servers with emails all at one time with a lot of HTML, it's really easy for the likes of Gmail and Outlook to figure out where to put those emails. Should I put them in the inbox, the spam folder, or maybe the promo tab, so on and so forth, right? So what you're going to do with human-like sending with any software that you use, cold outreach, you want to make sure, first of all, that your emails are plain Jane. 2, you can control that volume, right? That's going to look more human. And that you can delay your time in between email sends, right? And it should pick some random interval. All right, so a system like Uptix does this. It picks some random interval. So between sending your volume between multiple inboxes, it's also mimicking human sending behavior. All right. The next piece, and I talked about this earlier with spin tags. All right. One big thing that I see, especially with a lot of these other systems, is people just have an email template, right? And then they send that template over and over and over and over again. Well, it's really easy for the email client providers to pick up on that. Okay. And so when you use the same template over and over, you're going to have deliverability challenges. Typically with promo, but then eventually you'll probably go into spam. So what you want to have is you want to have a dynamic content rotation feature like a spin tags. What spin tax is, when you write your emails, like just think of your email as a line, right? When you write a particular line in your email, spin tax, you write a different variation of it. And by different, you just say things slightly different. You don't have to come up with brand new content. You just say it slightly different. And what a system that has a feature like this will do is each lead is going to get a unique variable. So each one of these lines is going to have multiple variations. You should even be able to do it by word or by a couple words. You can do it across the board. And you still want to make sure that your emails make sense. All right. So that's spin tax, and that helps keep your content fresh in your emails. And that's one big thing that I don't see people doing. It's really easy for client providers to pick up on that. So here's a little example. So here's a few different emails from the same template that I sent. So first and foremost, we do the same thing with our subject lines. So it's a slightly different variation across the board. I won't go through everything, but each recipient receives a slightly different variation. Okay, and you're probably thinking like, well, if I change it up in my subject line, how am I going to know what subject line gets the best open rate? You look at the law of averages. If you're hitting an 85% open rate or whatever, 70 something percent open rate, whatever it is, that's pretty damn good. So I wouldn't be concerned about if reply problems got an 83% and problems with replies got 81. Wouldn't be too concerned about it. Okay, so that's spin tax. The next piece is advanced email validation. So again, we're all getting our data from somewhere on the internet, right? And you never know if you can trust the data. So trust but verify. This is like, when you get data from a data provider, and not to knock them, there's a lot, obviously they're all doing their best, and we all do our best, and that's the way it goes. But you never let a teller at a bank count their own till. So you always want to validate emails. And the reason why this is important is you don't want to have deliverability problems. If you're sending emails and they're bouncing in mass, you're going to burn your inbox, burn your domains, and you're going to get your inboxes blocked. You're going to have deliverability problems. Okay. Here's an example. All right. So this literally was yesterday on a support call with a client. Hop on a call and he was like, "Hey, I'm not sure if my domain's burnt. Can you take a look at it?" I said, "Sure." First of all, 12% open rate. I'm like, okay, that's not great. Go and check the bounces. That's really high. Then I go check the email validations, right? Not very many valid emails in here. Tons of catch-alls. Now, it's likely that all these catch-alls are the ones that are bouncing. Okay, lots of invalids and even some spam traps. All right, so I'm like, okay, let's trust but verify even our own system. So I go in and we partner with Zero Bounce. We used to have them directly integrated in our platform. So I went and checked Zero Bounce. Same results basically. Our model is just a little bit more conservative because we want to protect people's domains, but same results. It's bad data, essentially. Okay, so if you continue this, it's one thing if you send it to only 100 or so people. Right? You're not going to torch a domain. But if you're doing this over and over and over and over again, you're going to get blacklisted and blocked really, really fast. So by being able to catch this and dig in, like, hey, is this my domain? Is my domain torched? Normally you would just have some information like this, right? Well, I might need to go get a new domain. Actually, it's the data, which we can tell. So instead of spinning your wheels, you actually know. The only way you would know this, though, is if you have this data baked into your sending tool. Okay, and a good sending tool is going to revalidate prior to each of your sentence, essentially. All right, and then on top of that, you can pick which validation codes that you actually want to allow to send to. Valids, catch-alls. For cold outreach, valids are usually the best. As you just saw, catch-alls can be a little more risky. All right. Now, one thing on top of this, any good system is going to take these bounces. They're going to auto unsubscribe them so they can't keep getting emails. Okay. And then just to fast forward here, here's what like a clean validation looks like. Bounce rate extremely low, 1%, and validations are looking really good. Not a ton of invalids. If they're invalid, they're getting removed. All right. This is actually promoting this webinar. So this is a campaign, and upticks promoting the webinar. All right. Next are custom tracking pixels. So custom tracking pixels can help you boost your deliverability almost instantly. Now, some people don't want to put tracking pixels in their emails to track things like opens and clicks. So a tracking pixel, if you don't know what it is, systems like upticks, in order to track your opens, and if you're using, I don't like clicks for cold email, but if you are tracking it, we have like systems like us, we have to embed a code to track that. So what a custom tracking pixel does is it replaces our generic code with a code that matches the domain that you're sending from. This helps with deliverability. All right. The next thing is a DNS checker. So we talked about in the first module of this webinar, DKIM, SPF, DMARC. So any system, whether you're using a system or not, or a third-party system like MX Toolbox or something to that nature, should check your setup to make sure that you're first and foremost ready to land in the inbox before you do anything else. So system should check it, and you should be firing greens on DKIM, SPF, DMARC. Okay, that should happen automatically. All right, so quick recap. We talked about deliverability in the first module, how to land in the primary inbox 99% of the time. It's impossible to land in the inbox 100% of the time. No matter how much marketing and put out in the past, always land in the inbox, like it's impossible. Every person's spam or inbox is different. Gmail gets used to if you mark things as spam, and they'll put it in a spam if they think that you're going to mark it as spam. Okay, but we want to try to mitigate it as much as possible. All right, how to generate as many meetings by sending less cold emails, and that's all about converting with copy, the framework that I talked about, and building persona base and getting down into a micro niche as opposed to a general topic. And some of the secrets we talked about with the different technology in order to, in 2023, the email client providers aren't making it any easier. So you got to have the technology and the infrastructure in order to support it. But you're probably thinking, hey, it seems like a lot of information. How do I know if my deliverability is on point? Right? How do I write this copy? So you went through an example, Pat, and that's great. It sounds easy to you, but how do I do it? Right? How do I write copy so I don't burn leads and have problems with spam? And how do I implement the right technology? Right? So there's two ways. There's the hard way, of course, of doing things, which is usually staying where we're at, and then the easy way, as I always talk about in my webinars. So the hard way is to figure everything out yourself, trial and error, waste a bunch of time, try something else on the internet. Worst case, do nothing, don't change anything. Or you can ready yourself and dominate 2023 and beyond, and here's how you do it. So obviously this webinar was about launching the cold email challenge. So that's what we're launching. If you want to do it the easy way and want support, then join the Cold to Gold email challenge. Here's what it is. So it's a proven step-by-step guide to land in your prospect's inbox while avoiding the risks thrown at you by the email gods, as we always talk about. How to write these persuasive cold emails that demands a reply and makes your prospects book a meeting with you. When I say makes your prospect, we make it as irresistible as we possibly can, right? And then the last cold email and outbound software you're going to need in order to just dominate your outbound sales in 2023 and beyond, as the technology and changes in the market are happening in real time. And then last but not least, which we haven't really talked about, is how to nurture prospects. And even the ones who are telling you, we're using a different service, but we're keeping you in mind. I see a lot of people not nurturing prospects and following up on autopilot. That you're losing out about half of your opportunity by not following up with your prospects. So that's part of what's in the Cold to Gold challenge. Now, to break it down for you, what it is, we're going to do a 5-day accelerator. So we're going to break it down into 5 days of kind of action-packed content and training live. So day one, we're going to focus on that domain, the inbox, and all the technical setup. This isn't a lot of time. It's like an hour. It's not a lot of work, and we're going to show you exactly how to do it. How to set up upticks and the technology side to maximize deliverability and manage your campaigns. Building and writing copy for a 5-step email sequence with an A/B test and spin tags, how to build proper lead lists, doing things like negative keyword research and just dialing into your niche further, and then ultimately launching those campaigns. So we do this initially with your existing domains. We do real low volume because we don't want to use your existing domains for a long time. Ultimately, we need those look-alike and those burner domains warmed up. So that's what we're doing with this step. And we're ultimately, when we launch the initial campaigns, we're testing sales copy and we're prepping those domains to use in the future. So starting about month one, after month one, about 4 or 5 weeks later, we want to launch initial campaigns with our converting copy that we figured out from this initial sequence, or initial couple sequences, I should say. We'll go through a couple iterations in the first few weeks. And then we'll start launching our lookalike domains. Now, the big problem I see, people trying to do this too fast with launching new domains. So they end up blacklisted and they end up burning out their domains because they don't have a process and a strategy to launch these lookalike domains. So we want to make sure our deliverability is on point. As I mentioned, email deliverability is the #1 key to success with cold email. All right, and we don't want to burn out those domains. So we're going to guide everybody through how to do that. And then ultimately what we want to do from there beyond is to scale. Scale our email campaigns, add multi-channel, and build follow-up automation, ultimately. Objection handling, there's a number of different things. All right, so that's in a nutshell. And just in case you're wondering, we've done this in the past before. So I've sold a lot of courses. I had my course Cold to Gold email method. So we didn't turn that into a challenge. Now we're doing a challenge where we're helping people more hands-on. Okay. Some of the results that people have seen. Matt said, I've got some great results last week, getting about 5 to 8 free strategy calls per day all of last week. I think this is Chris. We're revising our entire setup and the model. The Cold to Gold was worth its price of admission with the software. And then Joe said, "Hey man, your #1 or your method's bananas." We booked some meetings and then they got like a 10% booking rate, which is really good. And then some of the strategies with what we do. Here's some of the replies you can expect. So I talked about not everything's perfect. We want to build nurturing, right? So here's just an example. Your last email made me laugh out loud. I respect the hustle. We're all set, with CRM and not, and at the point where we're looking for anything else. We'll keep you in mind in the future. These are really good opportunities for the future, and I see a lot of people not nurturing these leads and building in a follow-up automation process to actually follow up with these people. You can literally double your output by building in simple follow-up sequences that are automated. All right, same similar output here. Hey, your emails are catching concise, Matt. Nice job. I'm sure you hear this objection a lot. We're working, on this particular issue and using another service. This stuff's going to happen, but these are really good prospects, right? And then of course we're going to get the ones that said, "Hey, booked with Patrick this Friday. Now this is my favorite kind of cold email." People say this kind of stuff. Okay. Obviously, we want to book meetings. This is direct response sales. We need to get something out of it, as fast as humanly possible. But we also need to set ourselves up for the future too. So we're not burning through leads and not having to send more volume just to make up for bad deliverability, bad copywriting, so on and so forth. All right. And then straight up plug. James said, straight up plug for Patrick, who made 1.2 million in 4 months using Upticks this year and returned over $35 million for our clients. Phenomenal platform. James with bare metal email. So here's exactly what you're going to get with Cold to Gold. So you're going to get access to the live calls inside of my private university. You're going to get access to some coursework, to watch some quick little videos. We're going to help you implement it at all in terms of on the live support calls, excuse me. So I had I had my participants and covering up my screen so I couldn't see what I was looking at. So we're going to help directly on live calls, implement all of this stuff. All right. You're also going to get a checklist to help you make sure you're checking all the boxes to do everything perfectly. So we're going to share a Notion checklist. And of course, all of this we're going to implement into Upticks. And you probably already know or have guessed by now, Upticks helps with everything that I've talked about. on this call. So it's a multi-channel sales automation CRM. It's a mouthful. It does a lot: cold email, cold calling, LinkedIn, a lot of other things, deal pipeline automation, a lot of different things. Warm up, sending distribution, everything that I talked about on this call, it does everything. We're the best platform for email deliverability on the market, and then we add in the CRM and the sales enablement tools on top of it. Okay. So here's everything you're going to get in the challenge. So you're going to get access to Uptick's scale plan. It's our highest tier plan. It's worth $3,588. Those 5 daily accelerator calls worth $1,500. Lifetime access to calls twice a week to help you implement everything. Lifetime, $5,500 value. Lifetime access to all of my cold to gold courses. This will be like my 3rd one. Now I've done personalized cold to gold. I've done the how to cold email like a pro, and now the challenge. All right, so you're gonna get access to all those. $5,800 is honestly too low. It's higher than that actually. The Notion checklist, you're gonna get a private one-on-one launch call to help you set up and implement Upticks, and then that 5-step email sequence. So we're going to give you the templates to start with, and then the training on how to write those templates as well. So all that's worth $18,000. I'm not crazy, so no one's going to pay $18,000, of course. But I've sold any one of these things one by one for these price points before in the past. And for a limited time, we're going to do a special bonus. So anyone who signs up to this challenge is also going to get premium software support. We charge $100 a month for premium software support. There's a limited time offer. All right. So you're going to get bumped up into the queue of our support line. So anyone on our premium support gets helped first. That's in addition to our live calls. You're going to get a free copy review. So we're going to give you the templates, the frameworks, how to write copy, and then you can submit it to us and we'll help you put the bow and the ribbon on top. Merry Christmas, right? So you're going to get a free review session. And you're also going to get some pre-built nurturing sequences for follow-up and nurturing those prospects long-term to help double your results. Okay, so all that's a few $1,000. So you're probably wondering, what everything is. So to get everything, that's about $21,000. And again, we've sold each one of these things for these prices. We're not going to sell that. We've provided. Here's a little insight into our Stripe account. So we've sold private coaching, courses, templates, all that kind of stuff. This is in the last couple months, but obviously we're not going to sell it for that. So normally it'd be $5,800 one time plus the $300 Upticks software subscription. But right now we're going to be doing for literally just the Upticks scale subscription, $299 per month, limited time. You can go look at our website right now. It's $299 for the scale subscription. So everything that I just went through is included for the scale with the scale subscription price, which is insane. If you want to save a little bit more money, we're a startup, of course. So if you want to pay annually, you can save an extra 2 months. So you save $600 if you want to pay annually. Now we'd probably go broke, and I'd run out of time in the day to help everybody to implement this. So this price point is going to be available for the first 50 seats, which I expect to be taken up pretty darn fast. All right. So just to piggyback on some of that you might be wondering, okay, what's this Upticks like scale plan? As I mentioned, Upticks it does a lot, right? So it's a CRM in addition to all this nerdy cold outreach stuff. You get unlimited users with Upticks, unlimited CRM, unlimited contacts, unlimited sequences, unlimited warm up. You get email verification included, A/B testing, the spin tax, unlimited pipelines, lead scoring, 50,000 Upticks. Think of an uptick like as a sent email. We're usage based. We don't charge for users like other platforms, right? So we want to make sure people are doing quality volume, not just blasting volume. All right, and then you get 20 inboxes, 20 connected inboxes on the scale plan. And then plus we have a bunch of other features. I'm not going to go through everything. Power dialer, sending distribution, sequence pausing, all these different features. You can look at them on the screen there or on the pricing page. To sum it up, I'm going to take one review. So Brandon said Upticks is the infinity gauntlet of sales tools. And even prior to him joining, he was skeptical about our pricing model being volume-based and not charging per user. But he ended up loving it. So other platforms charge as much as $60 per connected email account. All right, and this is no joke. Like, we have competitors charging $40, $50, $60 per connected email. And this plan gets 20 connected email accounts. All right, we're not greedy pigs, not to talk trash about competitors or whatever, but we don't need to make all of our money there. All right, it doesn't cost us that much to have connected emails in the platform. So you can reach some of this if you want. All right, here's how what you can do to access this. All you got to do is go to upticks.io, register for an Upticks account if you don't have one already. You're going to get a confirmation email sent to your inbox. So when you sign up, you got to sign up with a business email. Make sure it's valid. You're going to get an email. Click the link in there to confirm your account. Then we're going to walk you through an onboarding setup wizard. Okay? Once you're in the platform, you click on the settings. You add a payment method. You won't get charged right away until you subscribe. You need to just pick the scale plan. Once you pick the scale plan, you're going to immediately get an invite, or maybe it's within a couple minutes, something like that, on joining the course inside, which it gives you access to all the events, the live events, the ongoing weekly support calls, everything. So you can RSVP for those calls. We start implementing the strategy, and we help you grow your business. All right? So that's how you do it. It's that simple. There might be some questions in the chat, and I'm going to get to all the questions. I'm going to go through a few questions right now, and then I'll get into the Q&A. So first one here, hey, I'm a current customer on the free plan, the starter, the growth, or a legacy plan. Now what? You simply just need to upgrade to the scale or monthly plan. Okay. Next question, is this offer eligible with any other discounts in the scale plan? To deliver this kind of value, it's not combinable with other discounts. Okay, it's got to be the full amount. We want to be motivated to help you guys, and any other discounts are going to really motivate us, and it's a ton of value already. If you're already on the scale plan and you're paying $2.99 a month, contact support with the chat widget inside the app, or email support@upticks.io, and we'll get you access. All right. What else does Upticks do? You might be wondering what Upticks is doing. Just go to upticks.io, learn about the product. All right. You might be an agency, or you might need more inboxes or more sending volume or something like that. You might be a bigger company with a big sales team. Just go to the upticks.io/pricing page, and there's a rocket ship plan that I didn't point out on the pricing page, and click on the Let's Talk Shop. So if you need a bigger plan than the $2.99, we'll still, of course, give you access into the challenge, but we can get you set up on a custom plan. And then you might be wondering, hey, can I sign up, pay for a month, and then cancel? Sure, you can cancel anytime. As long as you don't pay, if you're paying monthly, you can cancel anytime. All right. But keep in mind, if you cancel, you're going to lose access to Upticks. You're going to lose access to the weekly support calls, and all of the content inside of the course gets dripped out. We don't just blast you with all the content at once. It gets dripped out over time, because we have a structured process. Day 1 through 5, right? Day 6 through 30, day 31 through 60, 61 to 90, so on and so forth. So you'd lose access to all that. All right, those are my Q&As. I'm going to open up the Q&A here, and we'll go through questions as I see it. Answer live. Let's see. Looks like not a ton of questions, just mostly on my audio. Can you address how the Google Gmail's API warning for warm-up services affects Upticks warming service? Good question, Josen. No news is good news. All right. Without divulging too much, there's no problems. We'll say. We have a little different infrastructure than what some of the other tools are, but look, if Gmail wants to shut down every warming product known to man, they're going to figure it out. But software's like ours, and we're going to adapt, right? So warming is always going to be a thing. So we have a contingency plan in place, we'll say, but we're good. And even Google's like giving people a long notice, but we have not received one. Okay. Do you integrate with LeadFuse? Good question, Michael. LeadFuse, the founder, is actually a user of Uptycs. We don't have a direct integration with them currently. We're exploring one, and there's a really cool Zap integration with it. So LeadFuse has their lead bot, I think is what it's called, and you can send a certain amount of leads through a Zap into Uptycs on a particular cadence and process. But it's not a direct integration. But I was just chatting with a customer yesterday who is using LeadFuse and setting it up with that same infrastructure. Happy to hear that. Yeah, Joseph, we'll certainly keep you posted second, if anything ever happens. We hope not. We're accessing and doing things different with our warm-up product than others, and even so, we've got a nice contingency plan in place. Robert said, I think I'm having difficulty with Zoho email account lately. As a rule, should we stick to Gmail? I'm a fan of Gmail. We reached out to Zoho, and I don't know what's going on with Zoho, but it's just an example of saving money isn't always the best strategy for managing outbound. It's great to save money where you can. I hope Uptycs is enough value for people where that we don't skimp necessarily on like Gmail. Gmail's the 500-pound gorilla, right? And these platforms are giving preferential treatment to sending within their own customers, right? So Gmail is going to prefer emails sent to other Gmails, right? And since they own like 60% of the market or something like that for email, Gmail is the best one anyway. I mean, $6 per inbox, which I understand adds up. And then awesome rundown is always Patrick. Appreciate that, whoever that was, anonymous attendee. Jason asks, HubSpot has said multiple domains is highly discouraged because it makes it harder to manager for marketing outreach. Have you faced this with them before? Well, HubSpot's not set up for multi-inbox strategy, and being a billion-dollar company, they're a little bit further removed and have different problems. Their customers have different problems than people who are really focused on outreach and need like the best deliverability. They probably discourage it because their software is not set up to handle it. Like Uptycs, for instance, there's a single inbox. So you could have 100 domains set up an inbox, and you're sending from 100 different inboxes, but any of your email replies are going to come back into one inbox in Uptycs, right? HubSpot's not set up for that. I'm not sure exactly what it means in terms of like it's harder for marketing outreach, but some people use Uptycs for marketing automation as well. It's not a HubSpot replacement by any means, but if you're a small business, like we've got a lot of small businesses that use Uptycs for marketing automation. I'm not sure exactly why they say they discourage it, Jason, exactly, but those would just be my speculations on them just not having the infrastructure to handle multi-domain, multi-inbox strategy. And truthfully, it's a bit of a growth hack, right? And that's just the way it goes. But when we need to innovate at the ground level to get and optimize results and increase sales, products like Uptycs can adapt faster. This is exactly right. Don't trust what HubSpot tells you about deliverability. They're protecting their solution. Yeah, someone else said it, not me. So that would be my guess. HubSpot's a great product. I use HubSpot for my agency. They have their take on it. They're trying to be all-in-one for the entire company. Uptycs is trying to be all-in-one for just the sales department and outbound and all that kind of stuff. And so we have our ear to the ground a little bit more than the rest. Can you repeat again how to get the offer? Yeah, so to get the offer, go to the uptycs.io website and register, and then sign up to the Scale subscription, okay? And you're gonna get an invite to the course and the events. We're gonna be launching events, the calls as soon as next week, all right? And I realize it's the holidays and all this stuff, but money doesn't sleep. And the first 5 days of work that we got to do isn't a lot of work. So you can do it in between all the other stuff, even if you get a little time off. But go to uptycs.io, sign up, and then inside the app, you can subscribe to the Scale plan using the Here's the little image, settings, right? Add a payment method, subscribe to scale. You get a confirmation, you hit OK, and then we're going to get started as soon as next week. All right. So that's all I got. 4 minutes left. If there's any other Q&A, I can stick around for a few more minutes. It looks like we've answered mostly everything. Want to thank everyone for your time. I hope you got some value out of this. And if you did, that's awesome. Please implement it. So I put out a ton of training, YouTube videos, content on LinkedIn and our Facebook group and all over the place. And it's one thing to listen to strategies like this, it's another thing to actually implement it. Whether you pay for this challenge and you kind of go on this journey and have us helping you implement this kind of stuff or not, implement it, see the results for yourself, come back and let us know how it worked. But we'd love for you to join us, and I think we put together a good offer. Hope you'll sign up. And until next time, everyone, I really appreciate it. One last question here just came in. Does Upticks integrate with pop-up forms for subscribers? Yeah, we have a full-on Zapier integration. It'd be almost impossible for us to integrate with every platform out there that we get asked about. So we've integrated with Zapier. We're going to be launching open APIs within Upticks. We're going to be launching webhooks in Q1. We're going to be building a HubSpot integration and Salesforce integration in Q1 next year. In addition to releasing a brand new UI and workflow to make it easier to operate in the system. We're going to be doing a ton with data and integrations Q1 of this coming year. And I don't know if that'll include any of the pop-up forms, but I use Zapier to connect any of my Jot forms or Google forms to send data back into Upticks. You can do pretty much anything there. So thanks for the question, Michael. Until next time, everyone, I really appreciate it again. Sign up on the Upticks website, and we'll see you guys soon. Happy holidays, and thanks, everyone.